There is quite a few series on iRacing. Sometimes you probably think, which ones should I be spending my time on? Well, I've tried out a lot over the past year or so, and my new favorite one might actually be surprising to a few people. And this is actually one of the points of why I like it so much. The car is super lively, and we will get to exactly what it is in a second. But because of that, there's no traction control, there's no ABS. It is a bitch to drive, to be honest. It can really be. But the benefit is, just like the V8 supercar, which also has some of the same characteristics of just being a boat and really hard to drive, is you can hit curbs and the bouncing off them and just being on the edge of the limits of the car when it does clearly have some edges, right? And it'll just crash and burn if you push it too far. It actually makes it one of the most nice and rewarding cars to drive in the whole game. Just in case you guys try it out and completely burst into flames when you hit the wall, I will give some runner-ups or some other options that I also recommend as well. So let's get into the video. So my favorite series right at this moment, and it has changed over the months, and it probably will again, let's be honest, but right now it is the Porsche Carrera Cup. Now, whatever series you do pick this year or this season to drive, I really recommend trying to hit the 8 out of 8 participation limit so you get the credits at the end of the year. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, click on this video. iRacing pays you to do full series, or close enough to doing most of the races for the series. Crazy, I know. But considering how expensive iRacing is, I think it's really important that everyone does this, and also because you get better at particular cars and how to drive them and learn the tracks better, because every series will have a certain section or category of tracks. Like, you're not going to get Formula 3 car, well, actually they do go to Bathurst, but normally Formula cars will stick to Formula tracks. Now, here's a history of series that I've done, and it will help you understand why I like these so much. So IMSA has always been a big one, probably the one I've done the most, as well as Formula 3 and the Ferrari D-Class category, which I believe is still there, but sometimes I remove it and put it back. Now, the problem with the Ferrari D-Class category is your iRating and safety rating will be destroyed forever to never be seen again. So that one I really strayed away from, and I'll probably never do again. The Formula 3 was a bit better, but being Formula cars and really, really soft, like they'll just crumble, and everyone just drives maniacally because it's 15-minute races or whatever it is, it's sprint races. Then this one also ends in tears as well, although it is a fun car to drive. IMSA is great, but the problem is it's multi-class, and the issues with multi-class are really prevalent. Is that the word, man? What is, I've already said 2 words that aren't even English so far. The problem is, it's a great series that adds that edge to it when you've got LMP2 cars coming up behind you trying to pass you, but eventually they're going to crash into you, right? Just dumb stuff happens all the time. And I don't think there's many more things that are more frustrating than that. Getting taken out by someone that's not even racing you. So while IMSA's great, I don't feel like it's the only series you can do, because those things, if just a run of bad luck, can really, really get you on iRacing. So this Porsche Carrera Cup is one make, not a crazy amount of laps, really unique driving style, and just for that benefit alone of just being the one car on the track at a time, not even like cross-branded. There's no like Mercedes and BMWs and things like that. It's just the Porsche Carrera Cup cars. Everyone, same car, open setup to do a little tweaks here and there that you want to. So that's the first point, not multi-class. Second point, which we've talked about, is the car's very lively, which I like, although it is a bit more difficult to drive, but the reward for doing so and pulling off really fast laps in that car makes you feel really good. Now, number 3, point 3, is an interesting one. Now, sim racing tries to replicate real racing as closely as it can. So one of the benefits to this series that is pretty rare, actually, I mean, IMSA has it as well, but the Porsche Carrera Cup is a very worldwide series. I believe they do it in Europe. They definitely do it around Australia. And for anyone that aspires to get into a real race car and do high end, I've talked to real race car drivers that are retired now and etc. and grew up go-karting, did it their whole life, and they said, you'll never get to Formula 1, obviously, or V8 supercars, or these really high-end ones that are very publicized. But something like the T8, the Trans Am race cars, if you got $100,000 to blow, you can get into that. As well as Porsche Carrera Cup. Slightly more expensive, but given some sponsorship or just funds from some rich boy that you know, it's not actually out of reach to dream to get to that stage. And the Porsche Carrera Cup is really, really amazing racing in person. So if you've never seen that, first of all, you need to. I actually like them. They're normally support classes at these larger events, but sometimes they can actually be like the highlight of the show. Along with this, Porsche have a big foot in the door when it comes to sim racing. So every year they hold their iRacing Porsche Cup tournament, and most of the time, I think every year that they've done it so far, they have $100,000 of their own prize money on the line because they just want the advertisement within the sim racing community. They're motorsport, pure blood Porsche, and they've got their foot with everything. They do so many events, and they get into the sim racing as well. So knowing this and being a fan of the actual Porsche Carrera Cup series, wherever it is in the world, because they seem to run the same car close enough, well, it's the exact same replicated in the game. Although not exactly the same tracks, obviously, but the track selection is also brilliant. And that leads us on to point number 4, actually, is I think they are the best selection of tracks in the games. Of all games, really. You've got Le Mans. Some of the Formula tracks are a little bit annoying, right? You just get sick of them, or the flow state kind of things. But Porsche Cup cars can drive everywhere. Right now, they're about to go to Virginia International Raceway, a complex track, I know, but the use of curbs and just the gradient changes and just different sections. The track really has everything. It's pretty gnarly. And the thing is that these Porsche cars are built for gnarly. Formula cars can't hit curbs. GTE cars don't like curbs because you lose the downforce underneath as soon as they lift. Porsche Cup car though, man, it just comes in, it's just like, oh, curb! And they just love it. So they're on edge, they're doing skids here and there, oversteering out of corners, and they go to some of the best tracks available. And point number 5, the last one for today. Given the circumstances of just where the iRacing community seems to be, most people go to the Formula Cars, Formula 3, or IMSA. They get a lot of sign-ups. You do get a lot of sign-ups with the Porsche Cup car as well, but given the fact that they're a bit sketchy to drive, people don't really treat them differently, but they're rear-engined and they've got no assist. So you need to keep that in mind. You can't come off the back of a Formula race or out of a GTE car, mash the throttle and the brake every corner and expect the assist to help you. It just doesn't exist. So you need to keep that in consideration, drive it with a little bit of care. But like I said, this does make it rewarding to drive. But because of this, a lot of dudes do crash out or make mistakes mid-race. Given the fact that there's no other cars on the track other than your replicated car. Sure, the setups might be a bit different, but there's no LMP2 cars to run into. There's no, tiers of car and lap traffic and all this. Generally, people are in the same part of the track. With all this together, it's actually slightly easier to do well in. And this is something that I've noticed with iRacing and ratings and things like that. If you really want to grow your score up, there is particular series that are better to do this in than others. Like obviously, if you're on safety rating, you're not going to do the D-Class Ferrari Cup. I wouldn't even joke about it. It's that bad. But the Porsche Carrera Cup, if you know how to drive it, a lot of people don't. It's nice to do well in. It seems that you'll place better than most races. The sign-up pool isn't huge like IMSA, so you're not going to get put into very competitive splits all the time. And that's just a nice little bonus tip at the end of it, that even if, these other tips didn't really interest you, this one might. The fact that it seems to be, some of the time, maybe not all the time, but it is a bit easier to do well in. So that's going to wrap the video up, guys. Hopefully this interested you in what my favourite race series I think in the world is currently. I mean, obviously Formula 1 you get more hyped for. V8 supercars, you back the drivers more and they're more celebrities and things like that. But if I see a Porsche Carrera Cup race on the TV or in person, I'm definitely sticking around to watch it because they're kind of like the up-and-coming drivers and the racing's just insane. Like, the cars are insane. They sound amazing. Porsche as a company is awesome. And it's replicated pretty well on the simulator as well. Thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to like the video to help out the small YouTubers. Really appreciate it. If you're considering subscribing, you only got a couple seconds to hit the button down below. I will see you guys next time.